For being up 800 this morning, I am now down 800. And I'm not going to lie, I was pretty heated after that. I have another full week of live trading for you where I highlight my best and worst trades throughout the week and fast forward everything in between. Let's dive into it. Kicking off with Monday, I usually try to take it pretty easy at the open on Mondays just because coming out of the weekend and not trading the past couple of days, I want to get a feel back for the market and warm up to it. But my first trade was this AVYA. This was on my carryover list from Friday, which was a penny stock and had a pop off the base and got back up to the dollar mark today with room to move up. So tried scalping the breakout off the 1 minute to see if it can get a nice pop, but didn't really get going until about an hour into the day. Got in and out a few times and was definitely undersized. But once it caught some momentum, had an okay move up on the breakout with a decent level 2, putting me up over 2 Rs. The next trade was HYZN, which was also on my carryover list from Friday and had a pretty significant gap down that day and was looking weak again today. This was not a gap, but just a scalp off the level 2 that I came across. Also had a breakdown off the hourly with a big shakeout bar and looked lower again today, so I gave it a shot. It was not available on TOS, so I had to locate it on E-Trade. It was on an uptick, so kind of tough to get filled on, but had a decent drop and also flipped it and made a little bit on that as well. The rest of the day was just going back and forth on some scalps. Nothing was really moving, and the AVYA and HYZN is what put me up over 2,400 today. Lock it in. Tuesday was a bit of a shit show. My first trade was Root, which gapped down on earnings. This is a stock I'm familiar with scalping in the past, so this was a priority watch at the open for me. Had a first minute battle bar, meaning there's some indecision there, and then just started basing for lower into that declining 20. So I shorted it under the base and made about an R as it broke new lows before it flipped on me. Then the rest of the morning, I just did a few scalps here and there, made some on AVYA, lost some on GOEV, and it put me up about $800. And then it just kind of went downhill from there. None of the scalps were really following through, and I just started taking some paper cuts as I was trying to get something going, but pretty much gave all my profits back heading into lunch. And then into the afternoon, I should have pressed the brakes on the scalps since they weren't really working today, but instead, I decided to fill up the gas tank and continue down this road of shit not following through. As you can see, I gave all my profits back on Root, and for being up 800 this morning, I am now down 800. And I'm not going to lie, I was pretty heated after that. Not because of the money, but because I knew the scalps weren't really working, and I still overtraded, trying to force them to work. So I was more disappointed in myself because I know better. I've been here many times, but I guess I need a reminder like this once in a while. But towards the end of the day, I caught a bit of this SDC pop off a penny base to help mitigate my loss for the day to just 200. So it's kind of a break-even-ish day, but technically a red day, which actually makes this my first red day in a while. And my guess is it's probably because I didn't shave. So coming into Wednesday, I did shave. And usually after a red day, I find myself being a bit more cautious the following day, but there were a few interesting setups at the open here. The first one was BoxD, that gapped down, taking out this base into earnings. I took the 1, 2, 3 off the 2 minute on E-Trade because it wasn't available on TOS, followed through, and ended up trailing to the offer on the breakdown. Then immediately after that, I got involved with the KIND that was selling off. Similar daily, where it's a weak stock that gapped below a base into earnings. I had a pretty late entry here, no real setup off the chart, but a decent level 2 and was grinding lower. This one was available on TOS and got what I could for a quick scalp, putting me up 1,700 in the first 15 minutes. So definitely seeing much more follow through today. Then I saw the NVTA going climactic, and I see that I got the extension, the volume spike, and acceleration on all time frames. Had a 1 minute entry under that reversal bar, but knowing that was an aggressive entry, I did it with half risk to possibly add as a full size on a higher time frame entry, but immediately failed and took a loss on it. So I decided to go back and focus on the BoxD and KIND and scalp them throughout the rest of the morning. Then into the afternoon session, which lately has been a dead zone, just not a lot to do. But this VLDR was penny basing at the high off the morning rally. So I scalped the breakout, only got filled one of the 3 orders as the offer broke, and got out way too soon on this flip because I ended up going from 138 to 175. I did scalp it here and there with smaller size just because it was moving pretty quick. It was also going climactic, and I didn't want to make the same mistake as yesterday and give back the profits I made from BoxD and KIND this morning. but still ended up being my best trade today and a monster play for some of the people in the room, so that's good. I also scalped some of the root from yesterday as it broke under $1 again into the close here, which puts me up over 5K on the day. So definitely a much better trading environment today. Then on Thursday, I went after the VLDR again from yesterday, which was basing at the high off the 1 minute for a breakout. Got some follow through, but I guess I got out early again because it went a bit climactic. Caught some of it short and moved on to the box D. This one I actually made a mistake on. It was a breakdown off the 2 minute with a strong offer, but I took my eyes off of it and it popped against me. It was up a little over half an hour, I think, and ended up losing over half an hour. You know, with scalping, watching multiple symbols, scanning, and also moderating a room, this actually happens more than I would like. Then I went after the ARVL. This one I didn't like where it was gapping to at the open. It was into that support area and the rising 20 on the daily. But once it got sold off and broke through those levels, I got into the secondary sell setup off the 5 minute. Added to it on the way down and trailed it to the offer as it broke new lows. It then tried to pop but failed and based at that low. So I decided to reshort it under the base, but it became hard to borrow on toss, so I had to locate on E-Trade. Had another decent drop, and as it hit the daily support there on volume, decided to take the whole thing. Then it failed to bounce again and based at that low as I reshorted it for a third time. And it was a bit of a slow mover this time and just ended up running out of time. But ARVL pretty much made all the money for me today. And this is why I like to have 2 different brokerages for my shorts, just because, if it's not available at one, it may be available on the other. Because if I didn't, I would have missed out on all this money. And finally, we're at the end of the week, Friday. And because we ran out of time with the ARVL yesterday into the close, I watched it again as the market reopened today. Looked lower off the level 2, so tried reshorting it. It was available on TOTS this morning, but wasn't getting filled much. I also tried with E-Trade, just trying to get some shares, and ended up making what I could before flipping. There were also a few interesting gaps this morning, but none of them really set up right for me, except LAW. This one reported earnings, gapped down off a recent rally up under support. It had a pretty 1-2-3 off the 5 minute, but one issue I saw earlier was a spread on it. Some of the gaps were pretty thin, including this one. I saw 30-cent spread at the open, but volume did come in and it seemed to tighten up a bit. My entry was 14.30, stop 15.45. It triggered, and as it came in, I saw that 30-cent spread again, which I did not like. So I decided to trail half 5 minute bar by bar, just because I don't want to get 30-cent slippage if it does stop out, especially with the market looking a bit bullish. And it didn't trail, but instead set up a 1-2-3 off the 15 now. And I said on the mic to cancel the trail and just lower the stop above the second 15-minute bars high. But I went back to stick with the trail instead as I saw the level 2 look like it wanted to pop. And sure enough, it did, but it came right back down for a shakeout. So that was not a good trail on the front half. My first target was $13, which it ended up breaking. So I took another quarter there. And the last lot, I trailed at 15-minute bar by bar. Ended up not going anywhere and trailed out, making a bit better than half an hour on it. Then I went back to the scalps, the ARVL, and some of the others I've been watching throughout the week, but they didn't really have momentum today, so just kind of took it easy. Some played the EMBK today. That was a big mover. I actually missed the initial breakout and passed on the climactic play. That seemed to be the moneymaker today, but I did not partake in it. This one seemed to be a bit too volatile for me. Flippy level 2, so I decided the little amount I'm up today, let's not mess it up here in the second half of the day and call it there. So it was a pretty slow day to close out the week for me, but that puts me up over 13K in total, making it a pretty decent week overall. So hope you enjoyed this one. Just trying to share some of my thought process on my trades and give you guys a peek inside my window of what a week of trading looks like for me. If you got anything out of it, please make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more content like this one. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below or give any feedback. As always, I appreciate you for being here and I hope to see you on the next one.